Hi Lakewood 7th grade math students. This is Miss V back with video 3. And this video is all about percent increase and percent decrease. And I'm going to show you how to work these kinds of problems in two different ways. Because I have just a certain kind of particular way that I think is helpful to you as you progress in math. So let's talk about percent increase and percent decrease. And let's say I have, we've talked about fruit, and we've talked about students, and we've talked about money. Let's say I have 200 students in 7th grade. We'll talk about students again in this video. I have 200 students in 7th grade, and the school district has told me that I should expect a 50% growth rate. Well, let's go backwards for just a second. Let's say we multiply 200 by 1. What do you end up getting? 200, right? That's not growth. Nothing happened there. It didn't grow and it didn't get smaller. In order to grow, I have to multiply by something bigger than 1, don't I? So if the school district has said we're expecting a 50% growth rate, I know, remember I moved my decimal point over because I have to do that when I do arithmetic with percents. Sorry. Dog again. She's enthusiastic about the pedestrians out on the sidewalk. So I have a 50% growth rate here, so I'm multiplying by something bigger than 1. So I'm going to do that in my calculator. I know 1 plus 0.5 gives me 1.5, and I'm multiplying that times 200. And what I find is if I have a 50% growth rate, that's 300 students. And you'll notice I kept the 200 students I had, and I added another 100. And 100 students is 50% of 200. Okay? Now, there's a way to do this in a two-step process. There's a way to say I have 200 students, and I'm adding 50% of 200 students, and that gives me 200 plus 100. And you're welcome to think of it that way as well. It's a perfectly legitimate way to think of percent growth. Now let's talk about percent decay or decrease. Let's say I have 200 students, and the school district says we believe there's going to be a 50% reduction in the number of students coming to your school. Well, instead of adding 50%, I'm now subtracting 50%. So what 1 minus 0.5 becomes is 200 times 0.5, which is 100 students. I just did that in my calculator, 1 minus 0.5, and then you multiply that times 200. And you see that we lost 50% of our students in this case. And what is here that I multiplied by is actually a number that is less than 1, and more specifically, it's in between 0 and 1. So the two-step way to do this is say I have 200 students and I'm taking away 50% of 200 students, which leaves me with 200 minus 100. And that gets us right back up to this 100 number. So that's one way to think of percent increase and decrease. Another way, and this is, you get a lot of homework problems that ask you to do stuff like this. For example, let's say that I have a clothing store and I buy a particular shirt. It's a athletic shirt. and I buy it from the manufacturer for $20. And then I'm going to put it out on the floor for $35 and sell it for $35. So it's super easy to see that we are going to earn $15 by selling this shirt, right? But I would like to know by what percent did I mark up? So I say, well, I took 20 and I multiplied it by some number I don't know. And when I did, I got 35. So let's divide both sides by 20. You see this is multiplication right here, 20 times x. And so the inverse operation is going to be to divide. 20 divided by 20 leaves me with 1. So I have x over here. But 35 divided by 20, and again, I'm going to speed up the video by using my calculator. It gives me 1.75. So what I know is I took 20 and I multiplied it times 1.75, and that gave me 35. Now, if you just multiply by 1, you keep your 20. This piece right here is how much you grew or how much you marked up. So what we know is we've had a 75% markup here. Now let's say that we've had this shirt sitting on the rack for $35 for a long, long time, and nobody's bought it. In fact, we've overheard customers coming in saying, well, that's a cute shirt, but I'm not going to pay $35 for it. And we decide we're going to mark it down. And we're going to mark it down by 20%. Well, I know if I multiply times 1, I keep my $35 the same. If I mark down, I'm marking down by 20%, which means I'm subtracting. So if I multiply by this, that should give me a 20% decrease or markdown. So again, calculator so that we can speed this up. Let's see, we took 1 and we are marking down by 20%. So we want to multiply $35 by 0.8. And that says our new price should be $28. So now after the markdown, we're going to have $28. And that's pretty much the way percent increase and percent decrease works. Keep in mind the percent increase or decrease is always that number. You have to subtract 1 from it. Now I want to talk about one that's pretty tricky. What if we did an increase by 100%? What if we took this shirt that we've decided we bought for $20 and we want to mark it up by 100%? We know multiplying by 1 means to stay the same. And if we add 100%, let's see, looks like that, and we move our decimal place, we just get 1. So what we're doing in essence here, by marking up by 100%, is we have to multiply by 2 to get that 100%. So let's do another one. Let's mark up by 130%. $20. Multiplying by 1 just keeps you where you are. Going up by 130% is 1.3. Let me show you that. 130%, move the decimal place 2 to the left. You get 1.3. So if I add 1 and 1.3, I get 2.3, and that's what I need to multiply my $20 by. And so 130% increase over $20 is $46. So pay attention, take good notes, ask good questions, do your homework, watch the video a second time if you need to. This is the end of video 3.